journey to the other side. Come on, take a ride. Have you ever took a journey? We gon' feel alive.
Welcome to Breakfast with the Boys. We're back. Gonna have some fun as always. I'm really looking forward to it. Before we get started, I just gotta bless our show because that's what it's all about for me. When I know that I've got this position of strength, I got my shield of armor with me. You know, when I got this shield of armor, when I'm referring to Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ. That gets us going right there. And so we got a great show, a great podcast today. I got one of my old colleagues, and of course my son's going to talk about it. But man, he really kind of, along with Drew Pearson, this guy was influential in my career in terms of where I was going and how I got there as being a professional athlete. And you know, Anth, you know, I've always introduced you as
we're almost, you know, we've been doing this for a few months now. You don't got to.
I ain't got to introduce you
no more.
All right, well then I'm gonna turn it over to you for a quick second. Go ahead and hit it with us.
Yeah, we always get the housekeeping going first. We always give a shout out to the beautiful production studio that we're in. So Murray Media. If you're trying to look them up, it's murraymedia.net. If you always want to hear the jingle that we like to listen to, Kurt McGirt, have you ever taken a journey? That is how we rock in here today. And previously, Pops, we had deemed this table the table of legends before. I should have brought my shades in here. I got a lot of blingage, some Super Bowl rings sitting here. So I want to shout out to the latest guest that we have. You may know him as, if you keep up with the Cowboys nowadays, you might think Jason Witten is the best tight end there ever was, but Jason Witten was following after some big steps. You know, to be able to hold the all-time leading receptions and touchdown record as a tight end for as long as this guy did, it's really impressive. Thinking about, you know, the amount of times you guys are throwing in your air. So let me go ahead and introduce 3-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, you know, just an all-around good guy, first-round draft pick for the Dallas Cowboys. Hey, Billy Joe Dupree, man, we appreciate you joining us today.
Oh, well, thank you, Anthony, and hoping things are working really well. And thanks for the accolation there. I'll pay you checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail. I like to use Venmo, something a little bit quicker, but we'll check in the mail. We can do that.
You go that route with them?
Oh, yeah.
You know, here's the crazy thing about it. I mean, everybody, we're going to talk about Dupe's accolades, of course, but, you know, I'm looking at Dupe, and Dupe, you pulled out some old school already on me right now. Yeah, Dupe's a golfer, Anth. I mean, you want to know about a golfer? I mean, he's a real golfer. In reference to, he's a guy that will he'll ride on a cart if you have to.
He's walking.
But he'll walk the course, and he's not leaving the ball on the course. I mean, I play golf with him, man, and I say, but dude, just let it go. No, I'll be right there in a minute, Mac. I'll be right there in a minute. He'll go find that ball or find somebody else's ball. I mean, he's that kind of guy, and he'll play. You know, I'm a guy, man. I'll play. You know, I'll play 18 holes in a scramble. I mean, that's my kind of guy. I'm a scramble kind of guy. That's what I play. But Dupe can play 18. He can play 36. He can play 72 in a day, and it won't even faze him. And on top of that, go get his balls. But here's what I'm talking about, though. You look at this guy right now, guess what he's got on? Old school Greg Norman, the Shark shirt. Dude, go ahead. Talk to me, baby.
Hey,
talk to me.
That's where we are. We're at the level of comfort, and I live by this philosophy. I don't have any bad days. I just have better days. And every morning I wake up is a good day, and everything that I try to pursue is a good situation, and sometimes it's a better situation. But all in all, it's a good thing.
Normally, you know, we come out talking about his career and his accolades, but this guy's a true golfer. I mean, dude, what are you, 6'5", 4 handicap? What are you?
Lately here, it's been around 10 average.
Yeah.
And 10 is not a bad deal compared to the 18s and 20s that we talk about.
Yeah, and that means he's a 10 if you want to get on the course with him. Now, if you're really playing for some real money, he's like a 12, but he'll shoot about a 3 or 4, or, you know, max. So he'll most certainly reel you on in. He's a player. I watch Anthony when he go out to play golf. I mean, Dupe doesn't take warm-ups. I got to take about 4 or 5 shots or 4 or 5 swings just to figure out, you know, how I'm going to hit it. Dupe's a ready golfer. He just jumps up there, boom, hits it, you know.
But that's you with everything, man. If I'm trying to get you to shoot a shot, you're going to show me your form 17 times before you take a shot. That's just the way you roll. So, Dupe, you're a real player at the man. How often are you getting out there on the course these days?
Well, these days, average roughly about 2-3 times a week. and mostly exercise than it is the golf. I always considered golf as is the only activity or event rather that would never leave the city and have a 4-hour vacation. Go to the golf course and nobody out there but the critters and the other golfers and the golf balls.
Yeah, he's a player without a question. I mean, matter of fact, I think he kind of introduced me to golf. But one of the things though, Dupe, as a golfer though, I mean, you know that you're a real player that when you keep your clubs in the car. Hey, Dupe don't go nowhere without the clubs. I mean, and this is back in the 70s, when we weren't even playing golf. My man had golf clubs then. But Dupe, coming from Louisiana, going to Michigan State, a football and basketball player, ended up becoming a football player on a team that ran the ball. This is the number 1 draft pick on a football team that ran the ball. Not a team that threw the ball. He ran the ball. Dude, talk to me about your experience at Michigan State.
Oh, that was an interesting deal. Let's just start off from the standpoint so you'll understand where I'm coming from. Now, I took coming out of high school, I needed to try to educate myself. Now, fortunate enough for me, I was a decent enough athlete to attract attention from some colleges around the country. But that in itself was a means to an end. I didn't have any real desires of doing it beyond college when I started out. So went to Michigan State, and they were initially, and when I got there, they were run oriented. When I left, they were run oriented. And I think, but I caught more passes one year, and with the Cowboys, which wasn't a whole lot, than I did the entire 3 to 4 years at Michigan State. Now, I only averaged roughly about 30, 40 passes a game, or a year rather. And the reason was that we were a run-oriented offense, and I only played half the game. Because if you recall, by the time you got here, Tony, I was still shuttling plays in and out the game because that was the way Tom wanted to do things. And I guess he figured that I should be grateful for that because he started me as a rookie. Well, that didn't have any significance in my opinion or my approach to the whole thing. Because when I walked into the NFL, I walked into it to the idea that I had a family and it needed to be fed.
Yeah.
And if I stay, I'll stay. And if they don't want me, then I'll do something else. But right now, if I got this opportunity to play, then I'm going to take it, and I'm going to do all of what I can to make sure it works. Fortunate enough for me, like I said, Tom started me as a rookie, and that may be one of the reasons why we decided to go shuttling plays in and out. The other may be is that he wanted to relieve Roger of doing that because Roger had just gone through some experience with the family, in a sense, from what I understand. So all in all, it worked out well. I played 11 years. And played only 1 year that I didn't shuttle plays in and out the game.
Well, Duke, you should have known something was happening. I mean, when Duke got drafted, obviously he comes from a small town, which we'll talk a little bit about. Goes to Michigan State, a team that runs the ball and et cetera, but gets drafted number 1 by the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, first pick by the Dallas Cowboys. But the key is the fact that the number they gave him belonged to another Hall of Famer. Because I say that another because he's not in the Hall of Fame. Well, not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but he's in Michigan State's Hall of Fame. He's in Texas Hall of Fame. He's in every other Hall of Fame, but the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But he's behind the number. The jersey they gave him was to a guy by the name of Mike Dicker, and we used to call Mike Mad Dog Dicker because Mike could chew gum 800 miles an hour, man, and would never come up for air. I mean, he could never get a word out. Son, or son of a, and that's the way he spoke. But dude, you get number 89 from Mike Dicker. Talk to me, man. That's got to be a hell of an experience.
Well, from all purposes intended, and to be just completely honest about it, let's go back a little bit. Going to college, and once again, let me just express my desires and my interests. The only reason that I ended up in the NFL and played really in NFL is because I had a family to feed. It wasn't my intention nor desire to leave college and go directly to the NFL or to any particular league. My desire at the time and intention was to earn a degree in building construction management and go do construction.
And that's crazy because you know what? In the offseason, understand that when we came in the league, my rookie contract with you guys, I don't know if I've ever exposed or shared with you, I got a $35,000 contract. I had a $35 signing bonus, and we went to the Super Bowl. That's how I made $100,000. And I've always made $100,000. I've been really fortunate, you know, when I come out the league. I was really blown away that was all I got. I said, what kind of contract is this? You know, this is uncrazy. But so you're a number one draft pick, you know, and everybody's looking up to you from the standpoint of being a number one draft pick.
Like a first rounder.
Like a first rounder. I mean, a first rounder. But my experience with Duke was, you know, and I say that your nickname to me was Inspector Gadget. You remember me calling you that?
Yeah.
Inspector, hey, his nickname to me was Inspector Gadget. We're playing San Francisco, up in San Francisco, my rookie year. And I'm getting introduced to the NFL. I ain't seeing no action, but I'm seeing Billy Joe Dupree, Drew Pearson, Robert Newhouse, Dorsett's up there. You know, I got Rayfield Wright. I got nothing but big-time stars on the Dallas Cowboys. And I got Billy Joe Dupree over here. He catches a 17 route, which a 17 route is like basically is a turn in and out. Isn't it basically you hit the zone and
button hook from outside inside.
Button hook. So, hey, they throw the ball to Duke. We're on about the 16-yard. We're on about the 20-yard line, but he catches it about at the 8-yard line, right? He catches the ball. His arm just goes and keeps on going up in the air. I said, wait a minute, man. I didn't see him jump. I don't think Dupe even jumped. He snagged the ball that was about 10 feet over his head, catches with one hand, throws another guy off of him, you know, with the other hand, puts the ball in his other hand and throws another guy who's about 3 feet off him. And I said, man, that's an Inspector Gadget move, and he takes it in the end zone. Do you remember that play, man?
Yeah, I kind of started sort of that. Actually, I just saw that the other day when they were running some highlights on some sporting events and that deal, and they featured the Cowboys and Frisco. Man, that little skit just showed up in that deal.
One of the most incredible catches I've ever seen, plays that I've ever seen. But you know, as well though, you really ruined my career. You know that, don't you? Though. No, I'm gonna share this. See, Duke has been chewing tobacco for 1,400 years, right?
Well, actually, maybe 1,000.
Well, hey, but wait a minute though. You know, he's chewing tobacco, right? And so I'm trying to follow the big boys. You know, I'm a rookie over here. Duke's got Skull over here. Randy White's got Skull. All the big boys. I didn't really ever see Drew, but Duke had it all the time. I said, okay, I'm gonna grow up. I'm gonna be a big boy. I'm sitting in a meeting. I'm the only rookie in there. I'm sitting in there. I'm gonna be a big boy. I grabbed some of the Skull, man. I put it in my mouth. I got to the meeting a little early. I had to lead a meeting. Man, I was seeing the room was moving side to side. My stomach hurt. I was throwing up, and y'all laughed at me. They laughed at me. Said, "Hey, you little young buck. Hey, dude, how'd you get started doing that? Why did you turn me out like that, man?"
First of all, you neglected to hear, do not swallow this stuff.
Yeah.
And you and Roger probably the only two that swallowed it and end up having that same result.
Oh, hey.
But it's not, I got hooked though. Not hooked. Yeah, I did get hooked. Because it was access. We had convenient access. Walt was one of the sponsors or hosts for Skoll. We had probably more Skoll in our refrigerator in the training room than we had medical stuff. 4 or 5 boxes of Skoll of practically all different type of brands. So everybody had exposure to it. Unfortunately, I ended up enjoying it. And to this day, I still indulge, and primarily when I'm on the golf course and outdoors.
I have not touched that since that evening. And I'll tell you right now, worst experience of my life. Hey, dude, worst experience of my life.
You did a good thing when you didn't come back.
Go ahead.
No, I was just, we sped past something that I thought was really interesting. I wanted to hear more about, because you said it twice. You say, my intention wasn't to go to the NFL. My intention was to feed my family. That was all that was on my mind. Like, tell me more. What was going on? What was your plans? You said the construction management.
Well, I'll just take you back and make it brief from high school and some of the thoughts. Now, as a high school, I played 3 years of football in high school, and we won the state in our class 2 of those 3 years. And from that standpoint, it was, I played football, and I got into football. I was a basketball player, but I got into football because some big guy decided he wanted to try to threaten and intimidate me. And I told me don't play that. So we finally had this confrontation in the locker room one day when, you used to have these free periods, and you go to the gym, do all the homework and that type of thing, put your books in the lockers in the locker room. So we did that in free time. I'm up in the locker room in the gym visiting with one of my classmates who just happened to be a girl. She's smarter than I was, so I needed to have some of that knowledge she had. So and there's this one big guy. It wasn't very an attractive individual, but he thought he was. And he thought this girl was his girlfriend. And we finished, the bell rings, we got to go back to class. He comes in, what are you doing talking about girlfriend? I said, man, come on, give me a break. Go. I got to leave. I got to go to class. So I go to the locker room, and the lockers are built where they dead into the wall. My locker was at the end of the row and no way out but where I came from. And I went to the locker to get what I needed to get, and I look up, and big guy standing at the end of the deal as I begin to leave. He said, you play football, I'd beat the crap out of you. In different words he used. And so, okay. But by that time, the coach walks up, and he's been trying to get me to play. And the guy name was Jack. He said, you ain't nothing but a big wuss. So coach heard all this. So the big guy leaves. I enter to get ready to come around, stepped around the corner, and there was a coach. And he said, he is. He was right. You are a big wuss. I said, okay, I'll just let this pass for a while, and I'll think about it. I thought about it, and I said, no, I think I'm going to take this challenge. So I went to the coach about a couple of days later and said, well, I think I want to, this was coming up on spring ball, I think I want to play football. He said, okay, you need to get permission from your parents. So I got permission from my mom, and they suited me up, and needless to say, I knew little or very little or nothing about the intricate parts of football. I knew basketball well. So they give me all this equipment to put on. It's time to go to spring ball. And I'm looking at all this stuff. He said, okay, I know where the pants go. I know where this, the jersey, the helmet, that type of thing. But where are these pads? So they get the thigh pads and the knee pads. I put all this stuff in the pants, walk out on the field, and a couple of the senior guys are just kind of rolling in the aisle, pointing at me. I said, what's going on? Well, didn't know that what was going on, that the equipment I'd put it on incorrectly, in a sense. Thigh pads was...
The knee pad?
Knee pads was inside out, means that the part that goes across the knee was facing away from the knee. The thigh pads, the bevel end goes away from your groin area. Okay, so you won't hurt yourself. So the coach looked at me and said, hey, you really didn't know anything about this sport, did you? I said, well, no. He said, well, I'll tell you what, you need to go back and change a few things. Go to the sideline and put these here and put this here. So I did that. And a few weeks later, about 3 weeks later, my first drill is bull in the ring.
Ooh. Explain people bull in the ring, Anthony. You remember that?
Bull in the ring.
Hard to forget that one.
You get 2 guys. Coach called 2 guys. One is going to tackle and one is going to carry the ball. But they all are going to be surrounded by this ring. Well, he called me to the ring. He said, Billy Joe, come on in here. I walk in the ring. I said, this ought to be neat. And he said, hey, Jack. The guy's name was Jack. I can't remember Jack's last name. Come on in here. And it's the same big guy that's been harassing me. I said, this ought to be a piece of cake. I'm a basketball player, and he's just a big, slow, feet stuck in the mud guy. This ought to be neat. And he won't be able to catch me. I'm figuring he's going to give me the ball. He gets both of y'all come in here. Gives the ball to the big guy. I got to tackle this guy. And so he got this, 2-3 yards, line of scrimmage type thing, blows a whistle. And being a basketball player, I had the advantage because my feet was never stuck in the mud. I hit him where I was supposed to hit him with the shoulder pads, pinned him on the ground. And then I got up from where I was pinned the guy, started walking back to the huddle, and I started seeing stars in my eyes. I said, oh, something's wrong with this picture. And it started flashing, and we were in the evening, so I covered up my right eye, looked out my left eye. I said, oh, that looks good. Covered up my left eye. Right eye was blind as a bat. Couldn't see much of anything at all. Went over to the coach, tapped on it. I said, Coach, I can't see out this eye. He grabbed it, pulled his arm up, shaked it a little bit. He said, go test set it aside. You ought to be okay. A couple of minutes later, I started seeing these stars again, so my sight came back. So part of that is after that episode, it was my commitment to stay with football and see can I get the same experience as somebody else down the line.
I like it, big fella. Okay.
So that's why I started out as a defensive end and then played an offensive tackle. And I caught my first pass as a tackle eligible.
You're kidding me. So you're telling me that you're an offensive, you weren't a tight end in high school? I played offensive tackle and defensive end for 2 years. The third year, my last year, which was my senior year, he moved me to tight end. And the reason he did that was because he had a tackle eligible. We had been practicing that play, and they decided to use it in our state championship game. Oh, okay.
And just what it is. I said, oh, okay. And eventually he called a play, and all this was like 20 yards, 10 yards out. Called a play. Quarterback had to scramble because, the team we were playing was a little bit more aggressive than what we were. And he had to throw the ball before I got to that point. So I dove and caught the ball. Next year, he said, hey, I got my 70 jerseys on. He said, hey, go wear number 89. You tight end this year.
Uh-oh, snap.
And that's all she wrote.
Okay. So I played tight end and also punted and kicked off and still played defense.
So, dude, you played all these sports. I didn't realize that. I knew that you were a basketball player because, we had our basketball team, hoops. And I shared that with Anthony all the time about my hoop it up. And I didn't go nowhere without – there were a couple of people I didn't go anywhere without. I didn't go anywhere without Duke. I didn't go anywhere without Robert Newhouse. Rest his, soul in peace. I mean, Newhouse knew nothing about basketball, man. I mean, hey, This boy could run. As a matter of fact, he can throw his pigskin. I got to give him some daps. He threw a ball in the Super Bowl on the money, rolling to the left with a right-hand throw, and he throws it like 40 yards in the air on the money.
Yeah.
But you ask him to put the ball in the basket, ain't no way. Ain't a clue. But so with that being said, we'll talk about that as well, though. But you're a basketball player. You turn football, so. Who inspired you? Who'd you look up to? I mean, were you looking up? Did you ever look up to any football players, or what was your inspiration?
Well, actually, when I did watch a little football because when I was, I think, high school or college, I watched football, but I got to be a Raiders fan for some reason. I had no idea, but I got to be a Raiders fan, so I followed the Raiders through that process and the deal. But having the intentions of doing it, I just spurred a moment thing. We decided that we wanted to be, and let me back up because this is the primary reason why all of this happened. I got involved with sports as a young teenager or young guy because I promised my mom that I'd stay out of trouble, and that was the venue that I used to keep my little self out of trouble so she wouldn't have to worry about me. So athletics got to be my mainstay. So when I tried baseball, we did a little baseball during the summer. One of the guys I went to school with, Dad coached us during the summer. Did basketball, sometime freelance, but football was only in school. So we've got through all that, but basically the intention was there. It said, hey, what's my job? Let me go do it. Let me learn how to do it, and I'll only concentrate on that. And I got to share this with you and talk about concentration. Now, you know how Tom was, as reference to his memory. Seemed to be emphatical. And you may not remember this, but we were playing New York one year, up in New York. And Tom had called his plays, and we always switch to tight end, 2 tight ends. And the tight end, the tight end who is the original tight end, is a guy to one side. He's the only receiver on that side. So our formation was red left, flip, wing motion, which means the tight end went left, the wing went right, and when it went motion, he come back left. So I break the huddle, and I think it was Doug, may have been in the game, one other guy.
Cause?
I think it may have been Cos or either Jackie, one or two. So we break the huddle, and I look up and playing New York. I look up and LT's arms has grown twice the size that they were the year before. Now I know this boy was aggressive. Now in that particular play, my position was supposed to protect the backside because it was a flip and wide delay and wide away from the 2 receivers. So small snap and large LT is just standing there. I said, what's going on? He's just standing there. So Roger ended up having to throw the ball away. Well, I figured that at some point in time somebody's going to bring this to our attention in the meeting. So I maybe just get ready for it. So we get to meeting that day, and Tom brings it up. As I knew something's going to happen here. I know what. He comes to that part, back row. I said, oh, here it comes. He said, hey, Dupree, you've been here long enough to know what to do here. I said, well, Coach, I did what I was supposed to do. He said, well, okay. Well, answer this for me. How can 10 guys be wrong and 1 right? And I'm thinking, Coach, I was in the right place. And there was 2 guys, 1 guy. Because the fullback, I think it was Ron at the time, the fullback who was supposed to be on the left side lined up on the right side. So when Butch saw this, he went to the left side and moved to the right side to make it a strong side because that's where the fullback is. Mm-hmm. So we never had any repercussions behind that whole process, but he did bring it up. How could 10 guys be wrong and 1 right? Actually, one was wrong.
I like your attitude, big fella. I like your attitude. Dupe, I got the nickname Mac. Like people, hey Mac, what's going on? That came from Dupe. Because I'd be I had the luxury of in the huddle. In my second year, I didn't play my rookie year at all. I saw everything from the sideline. But in my second year, I've got Dupe on one side and I got Drew on the other side. Drew's throwing up before the game, and Dupe's got tobacco in his mouth over here. And so I can't look at nothing but the quarterback because you guys are causing a lot of toughness for me. I mean, there was some serious situations over there. But as a player though, we used to have these plays, man. It's called 17, or when we got to goal line. I used to love to want to get to goal line, but Coach Landry called one particular play, and that was to Dupe. And, you talk about all these receivers and, tight ends and et cetera, but they had what's called the 17, which you mentioned earlier, is when we got to goal line, we come in to Dupe. And the bottom line, Dupe, how much did you crave just to get in that situation? Because that gave you that one-on-one situation.
Well, I knew for a fact that having to have every other pass thrown to me that I need to make some money at 20-yard lines in, and that's where I made my money, 20-yard line in.
There you go.
What probably impressed him was my first year back here, first game back in Dallas, which was we played Chicago, and I can't remember whether we lost or won the game in Chicago, but our first home game was St. Louis. Well, at the end of the day, I'd been to the end zone 3 times. They had to take me out of the game. And it wouldn't allow me to get 4 that day.
And that's the game that you had 3 touchdowns, correct?
Yeah, right. That was my rookie year. First home game I've ever played.
You the first rookie to have catch 3 TDs, huh? For the Cowboys.
He's the only wide receiver that had 3. If I'm not mistaken.
No, he did not.
At that time.
They had Dan Reeves that had 3.
Okay.
But not as a rookie, right? This is the first time a rookie did that.
No, that's the only time a rookie has
done
that. Rookie's never done that before. Tom had never started a rookie before.
Yeah, trust me, I know about that. I couldn't even. Coach, the only thing I can get is behind Coach Landry to get on the field. He wasn't playing rookies when I was.
He didn't start TD as a rookie.
He didn't.
Tony had to wait for a while. I think you're ready. Well, I say a few more games. I think he's ready. And TD had to wait about 4 or 5 games before he ever started on the field.
Played 11 years in the NFL. Dog, man. But, you know, some of the great memories I had obviously were on the field, but you know where I had some really good ones? On the basketball court. We used to
always comes back to the hardwood.
I'm coming back to, dude, we had some good times over there.
We had some great times on those basketball courts. And I don't know whether or not you went to this particular event up in Kansas. It was for a religious group, and it was I think it was one of Ron's guys who put it together, and we were gonna play this religious group. Well, we figured we'd have all these older guys, man, you know, they're at least in their mid-30s. He said they went out and recruited guys out of high school and college. We're getting warming up there, and they got guys out there slamming backwards, forwards, sideways, any way you can, stuff it in the basket. So we figured, well, we're gonna have a interesting time here today. Well, they tried to run us down, but we kind of put them in check for a while. And there's one guy who was kind of boastful about his deal. And well, we go really. He went up to make a shot, and ended up getting rejected. And I think me and one other guy, I rejected from one side and he hit it back the other side. So that changed his whole attitude about the game. He'd start shooting it from the wide. But that was one of those events that we had just certain guys to do certain things to make things happen, and it all kind of turned around to a extent where, you know, the guys that we played with in that area during that time didn't make that type of impact on off the course that they thought they would.
Anthony, what I used to tell you about the basketball, how would I set it up? You know, I used to run the hoop, but I had our hoop team. So how you think I set it up over there?
You talking about the teammates you picked?
Right.
You told me you would find somebody that would rebound. You found someone that played defense and hustle, but the main criteria is that they want to pass the ball to you.
So, dude, where'd you fit in on that line?
I'm passing the ball to Tony.
Hey.
I'm a defensive player, and more so, and a rebounder. But I could shoot as well.
This all makes sense why you got along on the basketball court then.
We always got along. But see, my son, you know, I've always encouraged him to shoot. Dude, I had no problem shooting. You know that, dude.
Oh, hey, give me the ball. You won't see it. Give it to Tony because you won't see it again.
Come on, dude. It wasn't like that. Now. Hey.
But I played with guys in high school like that, though.
Hey, but dude was on my side, you know, hey, because your dad would pull up anywhere on the court, anywhere. But you know what? If I missed, I knew I was good to go because
the guy's getting back to
I got to expect a gadget over there, baby. You forgot. Hey, Duke could get a rebound from anywhere on the court for me.
And we always got it back to the guys who could fill it up because it was kind of cute playing underneath it. And back to that game we played down there, we ended up playing those recruits from high school and college. And ended up, actually, they thought they was going to run away. They ended up winning that game by less than 10 points, that deal. But they got a few rejected, so they kind of changed their whole mind about the thing.
Yeah, they knew you weren't going out like that. I respect that.
Hey, dude, let's talk about your family, man. You know, Breakfast with the Boys, man, we just kind of go all perspective. And I just want to give you a chance to talk. You know, again, I want to talk about football, but I really want to talk about you and your family. You got a beautiful wife, Marsha, 2 kids, Chris and Sean. You know, tell me a little bit about your family, man, and how that's impacted your life.
Well, let's just start it from the beginning. I guess for some reason at an early age, I thought if I was going to have kids, I want to have them early enough so I can kind of grow up with them and spend a little bit more time with them. Unfortunately, the arena I ended up in wasn't that type of deal because when I was working, they were out. I mean, working meaning the time that they spend with them was this June, July, summer thing. Well, we're in training camp every day. And during the off season, you only had about, 2 months? February and March. Yep. Start back to spring or training sometime in March. So you only had 2 months out of a year to do much of anything. So we would that's that kind of place close knit. And you may have noticed during the time of I very seldom went out with the guys doing what they had to do because, you know, I promised my wife I'd always be home before midnight. Hell or high water. A few times I didn't make it, so I had to have some real good excuses, which I couldn't come up with. But all in all, the family thing. I got married in college. Junior year, I was junior going into my senior year in college, which was actually my senior year. Right after I pledged and got accepted to the Omega Psi Phi fraternity that year, and that's how I kind of associate these things. Well, first son was born my last year in school at Michigan State. Well, before that happened, the year that I was supposed to come out of Michigan State, out of college, Scouts had called Duffy Doherty, who was head coach, and asked him whether or not I was going on the board with my class for the draft. And Duffy called me in the office and told me this. He said, I told him no. He said, you can come spend one more year. Well, Duffy didn't realize that it didn't make any difference one way or the other whether I stayed or I go, but I would much prefer to stay in order to complete my obligation to him. I owed him one more year. He said, stay around one more year, you do better. But why he called me to the office is they asked whether or not I was going to be on the board for a draft, but he didn't tell me who that was until sometime later. And at some time later, the team that he's talked about was New Orleans, that was looking and wanted to know whether I was going up on the draft. And I guess that would have been a pretty good PR for him because it's home type guy, born and raised in Louisiana. So we went through that experience and then got married and been married right now for 54.
Ooh, go ahead, big fella.
54 years.
Well, hey.
That standpoint.
Now, Marsha, where's she from?
From all over.
Where?
From all over. He was born and raised in San Francisco. Well, no, born and raised, I think, in Jackson, Mississippi, not Jackson, Vicksburg, Mississippi. Lived in California, and then back to Louisiana. That's where I met her in Louisiana. Actually, she met me.
You know, and see, Duke had two boys over there, and we used to have another teammate, Benny Barnes. You remember Benny Barnes?
Yeah.
So the boys kind of ran together. The thing that I remember, man, we were up in, Benny he's a Stanford boy. So, you know, he played defensive back and Stanford boy, but he had some boys that were kind of, David and I can't remember his other son.
David and I can't.
But they were pretty wild, man, pretty wild. So because one day the word came out that I think it was your kids, that's what I'm bringing up as well, but you at least, might have been Chris, I bet Sean, it might have been with David, because they're about the same age, aren't they?
Yeah, it was Sean.
But the word's out, we are in training camp they over there on top of the house, on the roof, jumping into the pool. Yeah, they got a diving board, but no, they on top of the house, jumping into the pool. They got and we're trying to say, wait a minute, come on, dude, this can't be real. Yeah, man, I got to go home, man. My son's over here jumping off the top of the roof of the house over here. Hey, I'm trying to think, you know, what kind of, I can't imagine you guys jumping off the top of our house, and they had a 2-story house.
You'd be surprised.
I'd be surprised. You mean you guys are doing something like that?
You'd be surprised. Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't ask this question, dude. But how'd you handle that, man?
Because I can relate to it. Because we used to jump off the roof off the top of the house on the mattresses on the ground, just for the fun of it. Hey. See how many times we bounced before we stopped rolling.
Hey, this is some crazy stuff, though. It's some crazy stuff. Hey, so dude, we go back with you, you know, and you're the number one pick for the Dallas Cowboys. You come on into training camp, or actually you go into mini camp over there. And who's the first person you see in mini camp?
Well, that's a good question because I don't have a real vivid memory of that little section. And where my memory starts was going to Thousand Oaks.
Yeah, 1,000. We call it 1,000 jokes. I'm over there. That's how. I mean, I guess you remember that because that's how they indoctrinated me into the team. Because I was a third team receiver, and so in practice, I don't know if you had to experience that, but in practice at the beginning, you run the same play 3 times in a row, and so they're all set. You know, they know what you're going to do, and usually you just touch you. You know, it's like. You know, they'll throw like a quick 2 as a slant. They throw Drew a slant, they throw Butch a slant, and then they throw me a slant. But they've already done it, you know. And I kind of talked a little bit, you know. Maybe a little bit more than a little bit, but all I know is that on that third time, they already know what's happening. Cliff lit me up, you know. Hey, matter of fact, he might have helped my career because he had me mad the whole training camp, and I was looking for him the whole training camp. Did they try to break you in like that?
I can't recall because Cliff and Charlie may be the reason I started because I think one year, I think that year in training camp, my first year in training camp, Charlie and Cliff just didn't seem to have to tackle. I think I hurdled them, one of them, once or twice during the course of that practice, and I guess that must gave Tom a like, well, okay. And Cliff's one of my better.
So maybe you can play a little bit, right?
Yeah. From that standpoint, but I didn't really think much about it. See, it's my job. Let me go do my job. And a good example of let me go do my job. You remember Rodrigo Barnes,
right?
Yeah. Well, I went. If you didn't know, Rodrigo passed away this past last year, Father's Day. That standpoint. So Rod is playing. We got to be good friends, and he's playing linebacker in practice. He lined up on me one day, and I don't know what was going on. I blow off the line. He said, "Dude, what the you doing, man? It's practice." He's cursing like a sailor. I'm just trying to get you ready for Sunday, man. you know, we all cool and everything, but hey, you don't expect this guy on Sunday to lean into you, do you? I want to light you up so when you get to the guy next moment, it's going to be like a tap. He said, well, don't tap me too much now because I may return that favor.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, that's the way Duke rolled, man. I mean, Duke brought it. I mean, hey, when he ran, Duke was like a locomotive, you know. I mean, he didn't waste motion. He had short, tight arms when he ran, high knees when he ran, and long arms, long arms. And, I'm talking about with Cliff. When Cliff hit me, I said, that's the only way you can hit me because, hey, you got to do it 3 times in a row so you can hit me. And he had me pumped up. I'd be the whole training camp. And Mad Dog Dicker loved that.
See, Mike was crazy.
Mike, being a tight end, hardball, maniac. Like I'm talking about chewing gum, like I said, 100 miles an hour. But he liked controversy. He liked somebody being confronted. He liked that situation. And
well, you know, Mike, and Mike actually ended up being my coach my first year. He retired and became the coach. And I think it may have been that New York game, the same game we're talking about. Because I remember it may have been a different thing. Because I remember in the meeting, I said, well, Coach, what if the guy goes down inside to the center? I don't ever worry about it. Don't worry about that. It's not going to happen. So we get to New York, and he had this play. It was one for him to go outside, and he always told me, the guy going to step inside. He's going to step out to you. He's not going to step inside. So I did the footwork that they asked me to do. Put that near inside foot at the defender, and then move him the outside. When I stepped to move that inside foot, he was almost back there shaking hands with Roger. So I look up, and here comes Mike. Roger threw the ball. Here comes Mike waving his clipboard. Blah, 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 blah. Man, I can't use the words I use to speak to him. I said, Mike, time out. Let me tell you one thing. If you don't think I'm doing this blank job the way it should be doing, or you put this blank uniform on yourself and you go out there and do it. Or you find one of these other it's tight ends on the sideline and you have them do it, but you leave me the blank alone. Right. Mike had a look on his face and said, he talking to me?
Yeah, Mad Dog wasn't used to nobody.
He wasn't used to people talking back to him and trying to explain. But Mike's really a pretty good individual. You just got to get to know him.
Hey, Dupe, from your experiences growing up and playing football, and there's a kid that wants to play football or a parent that wants their kid to play football, has interest, what word of advice would you give for them? I mean, what would you tell somebody?
For parents who have concerns about their kids playing football?
Yeah. Especially in this world today.
Well, in this world today, I would advise them to explore all the avenues that they have, make themselves very familiar with some of the deficiencies and what could happen, but always be concerned with what couldn't happen from that standpoint. But know the end is it out. Know that my son could probably get hurt if things happen that way because it's a contact sport, and make sure that he keeps his body healthy, means his muscles and that type of thing. Because after all over the course of time, the age I am, I've seen a lot of different things, but one of the ones from college that really poses me, and a offensive lineman wake up in the morning with a cramp in his foot, step down to try to relieve it, and breaks his the bone in that area. That's how severe and how tight that whole thing was. So try to be conscious about, what your body is telling you and where it's going. But all in all, make yourself very familiar with the ins and outs.
Hey, tell the public though, and tell my son, when we played though during our era, and today's era, in terms of how the rules, and so to speak, back when we played, it was no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
You can imagine just you going up for a layup and they're pushing you the whole time.
Right.
No harm, no foul. So the situation, dude, you played in the era where there was no 5-yard cushion.
No.
Hey, it was hit you, do your thing. And at that time, you're a multi-tier type of tight end. Tight ends had to be able to block and catch. Nowadays, they're specialty tight ends. I'm not going to mention any names, but all they do is just catch the ball. They might tap you a little bit, but they're not in there on run situations, or they're not running in their direction run situation. How do you think players, or let's say even be more specific, tight ends would fare in today's game, and how would you fare in today's game? I mean, in our era, and how would you fare in today's game?
Oh, in today's game, it's just a matter of how long they keep me on the field. If they give me if I play every play, they're gonna have something happen at least every 2 out of the 3 plays of 2 out of the 3 plays.
So do you think the boys now could play during our era? I mean, I'm sure they're athletic, but there's a different game. You know what I'm saying? And again, we're old school, and we got that different opinion.
Well, I'll express it whether this is fact or fiction or true or not. But I was listening or read something the other day, and the comment was that the guy was commenting on what on the question that he had asked Roger. And the question he asked Roger, he said, "Roger, how you think your teams today would fare against your team?" Well, I don't know. We could probably be a good game. It could be a close game. He said, "Well, what do you think the score's going to be?" I said, well, it may be 1 touchdown or so, maybe a field goal. He said, "Well, yeah." And he said, "Well," and then Roger said, and then the guy who reported Roger said, "Well, you think that's a good?" No, the guy said, "You think you can do that?" And Roger come back and said, "Well, yeah, but you got to understand, I think we can beat them. But you got to also understand, most of my group is a 70 plus." So what he was trying to say is that, yeah,
we would beat them now. Imagine what we do in our prime.
My team could beat them now, let alone back then.
Oh, okay. There we go. I like that one. Hey, I want to talk to you. I can probably talk to you till you're blue in the face. There's so many things we want to talk to, but when we come back, and when we get ready to exit, we always talk about some of the good things that we do. The type of this is Breakfast with the Boys, and so, dude, one of the things that I want to ask you, and Ann, feel free, you know where I'm going with this, is that during your playing era, what'd you have for breakfast, and what was your favorite food for breakfast, and what do you eat now?
Oh, favorite food for breakfast, then it was kind of Sprite, just regular ham, eggs, that type of stuff, and grits. And today, it hasn't changed very much. I've kind of been a little resourceful. I eat breakfast sandwiches these days. And that sandwich may have a lot of different stuff that most people may not think would go on a sandwich.
Well, Anthony, you got to ask him, though. You got to ask him about the grits. Come on, man. You ran on that with Dorsett. You got to talk to him about it.
Yeah, we will. We talk about there's several ways to eat grits. The major question is, are you putting sugar on your grits or are you putting salt?
I don't put either one of them on it. Salt goes in the water, and when it's cooking, sugar's
not for the grits.
Not for the grits. Not for my grits. I'll put it like that.
Yeah. No, that's great. So hey, we always close talking breakfast, and then we always close with one other thing. You asked about family. You talked a little bit about your family. Dupe, you are well known for being involved in the community and giving back. Tell us a little bit about some of the stuff that you've been doing in the community. Are you still active in the community? We'd love to hear about it.
Well, actually, I'm not as active as I used to be. I think the last tender I had was sitting on the board of the Meals on Wheels for City of McKinney. And then I eventually found out that I really didn't have the amount of time to be effective and service them well, so I removed from that. But during the course of my career, Boys and Girls Club, United Way, and when we were chairman of the fundraiser for United Way one year, and that particular year was the first time they raised $1 million or more for the event. And since then, I think last time Aikman had did it, people ended up doubling that standpoint.
Yeah, you paved the way though.
Yeah,
like that.
so I paved the way. So charitable organization, Boys and Girls Clubs, a lot of different St. Jude's, a lot of different charitable hospitals in a sense. I can't think or remember them all, and organizations that provide services mostly for kids and that arena. And I've also have tried to let me just preface it by saying this: before I ever got to the point where I could be in front of a camera, I made a commitment to myself that if I ever acquired any influence of any degree, to use that influence to help people who wasn't really in a way to help themselves. So that was my mindset, and so I spent a lot of time with charitable organizations. I probably spent as much time with charitable organizations as I did with playing football over the years. But these days I don't do as much as I have done in the past, and it's just time for me to make sure that I enjoy this grandbaby that's coming up, and 2 sons, which are older than both of y'all put together. I got a son 46 and one 52 and 146 right now.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. They're older than me. I could go for that. I take that as a good compliment over there. For our listeners out there, hey, we got Billy Joe Dupree, better known to me and some of our teammates as Inspector Gadget. So you get a chance to look back on Inspector Gadget, you'll find out what I mean. All you had to do was get it close to him, and he would bring it in. Billy Joe, thanks for being on our show.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity of visiting with you guys today, as well as your audience.
Love it, man. We'll close out another week the way we love to close it, man. So we'll see y'all next week.
Have you ever took a journey to the other side? Come on, take a ride. Have you ever took a journey? We gon' feel alive. You gon' feel